Hello and welcome to Recovery Cave. My name's Christian, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving you an overview of what AA is all about. Because most people I've met over the years know very little about it and how it works, and that includes relevant professionals. And until I'd been several times, neither did I. And even when it's portrayed on television, they normally get parts of it pretty badly wrong. So if you'd like to know what it's actually all about, keep watching. So I'm not going to give you an in-depth account of the history of AA, and I doubt I ever will. This video is designed to give you an overview of the different elements of AA. I don't intend it to be exhaustive, and I don't want to tell you things that I don't think you need to know. So, Alcoholics Anonymous, or AA, was formed in 1935 in the US, and it was founded by two men. Bill Wilson, usually known as Bill W., who was a New York stockbroker, and Dr. Bob Smith, who was a surgeon from Ohio. And both men struggled with alcoholism themselves. And the basic premise was that both of them had found that talking to another alcoholic had helped them to stay sober. They began sharing what they learned with other people that wanted to stop drinking. And gradually, small groups began to form. Over time, these groups spread all across America and then all around the world. Today, AA has meetings in around 180 countries, and there's well over 100,000 meetings worldwide. And although AA has changed and evolved over the years, its primary purpose has remained exactly the same: to help alcoholics achieve and maintain sobriety. And everything else, steps, sponsorship, service, it all exists to support that one simple aim. At its most basic level, AA is a peer-led support group for people who identify as alcoholics and want to achieve and maintain sobriety. Now, you'll hear the word fellowship a lot in AA, and fellowship simply means the community of people within AA. So the relationships, the support, and the shared experience that exists between the members. It's not treatment, it's not counselling, and it's not run by doctors, therapists, or addiction workers. There's no professional at the front of the room delivering a program. And that is something that people and TV portrayals often get wrong. So the meetings are essentially run by a bunch of alcoholics, which makes them sound a lot less organized than they actually are. So AA is made up of alcoholics helping other alcoholics. People share their experience, strength, and hope, and use the 12 steps as a suggested program of recovery. The basic unit of AA is the group or meeting. So a group might meet once a week in a church hall or a community centre or a hospital. Each group is largely autonomous, which means they can have slightly different formats and personalities, but they're all linked by the same primary purpose: to help alcoholics achieve sobriety. And there are service roles within the groups, which I'll come to shortly, but they're volunteer roles. So AA talks about trusted servants rather than leaders, which means that those people are there to help the group function. They're not there in a hierarchy or to boss anyone around. And AA is completely self-funded. So at the end of each meeting, sometimes at the start, a pot will get passed round and everyone will be asked to make a contribution. Now, the sort of accepted amount in the UK has always been £1 since I've been going, but some people will stick more in, some less. And if you can't afford it, you don't have to put in anything at all. Two of the most recognizable parts of AA are the 12 steps and the 12 traditions. Now, although they're often mentioned together, they actually serve two very different purposes. The 12 steps are AA's suggested program of recovery. So they provide a framework for members to examine their lives, take responsibility for their actions, make amends where appropriate, and continue to grow in their sobriety over time. AA's 12-step model has been hugely influential. Over the past 90 years, it's been adopted, adapted, and built upon by countless recovery organisations and treatment centres. And it's often what private rehabs use as their core treatment model. The 12 traditions, on the other hand, are not about personal recovery. They're like a set of guidelines or principles for how AA itself operates. So they help groups to remain united, avoid unnecessary conflict, and stay focused. And they help to preserve the qualities that have kept AA going for almost 100 years. So, put simply, the 12 steps are about how individuals recover, and the 12 traditions are about how AA functions as an organisation and a fellowship. Now, I'm not going to go through all 24 here because that would take forever, but it's useful to know that they sit at the heart of AA, both for individual members and for the fellowship as a whole. Another term you'll hear quite a lot in AA is the Big Book. Now, the Big Book is AA's main piece of literature, and the full actual title is Alcoholics Anonymous. It was first published in 1939, 4 years after AA was founded. It's called the Big Book because the very first edition had very thick and unusually large pages. So people started referring to it as the Big Book. And over time, the nickname just stuck. The main purpose of the Big Book is to explain AA's program of recovery. So Bill W.'s own stories in it. There's an explanation of the 12 steps. There's practical guidance on applying them. And at the back, there's a large collection of personal stories from alcoholics. So they describe what their drinking was like, what happened, and then how their lives became following that. And although some of the language in the book does reflect the fact that it was written over 85 years ago, many people still find the ideas are very relevant today. And there are actually AA meetings dedicated to reading and discussing it. And this is my copy. And I actually got this from rehab. So if you break down the cost of rehab, this probably cost my parents around £2,000. But you can get one through AA for considerably less than that. And you can actually read a lot of it online for free. If you've watched my personal story, part 3, you might remember that when I left hospital following my third hospital detox, the guy that made sure that I went to the meeting also made sure that I had a service role or commitment before I left. And mine was bringing the milk to the meeting and also making the teas and coffees for people before the meeting began. And I also took considerable pride in my selection of biscuits. There are many service roles that are available within AA. The two that are most likely to be offered to someone who is pretty new are bringing the milk and doing the teas that I've already covered, and being a greeter. And a greeter literally stands outside the meeting and greets people as they come in. And then there are the service roles that generally require people to have a sobriety of a certain length, normally 1 or 2 years. So there's the literature secretary, and they make sure that the relevant literature is always available for people to buy. There's the treasurer, who takes in the money, keeps the books balanced, and reimburses the tea maker for tea, coffee, and biscuits. And the chair. And the chair is the person who essentially runs or takes the meeting. And they're responsible for making sure that the meeting's format is stuck to, any rules are adhered to, and that the meeting takes place in a timely manner. People are often aware that a sponsor is something from AA, and a sponsor is simply another member of AA who's normally been sober for some time and has already worked through the steps. And they offer support and guidance to someone that's newer in recovery, and they are known as the sponsee. Every sponsor does the role a little bit differently, but the idea is basically the same. They are there to share their own experience, help the sponsee through the steps if they choose to do them, and offer support when life gets difficult. And sponsors are not counselors, therapists, or addiction professionals. They are just another alcoholic who's further down the road than the sponsee is. And they don't get any training. They will normally take a sponsee through the steps in the same way that they were taken through them by their sponsor. Having a sponsor is not mandatory. Some people choose not to have one, but many people, myself included, have found that having a sponsor can be a really valuable asset in recovery. So, in summary, today we've looked at what AA actually is. We've seen that it's a peer-led fellowship, and it's made up of alcoholics helping other alcoholics to achieve and maintain sobriety. We've taken a brief look at how it began and how it's grown into a worldwide fellowship, and how its primary purpose has remained unchanged for almost 100 years. We've explored some of the key elements that make up AA: the 12 steps, the 12 traditions, the big book, sponsorship, and the various service roles that help the meetings run smoothly. Hopefully, you'll have realised that AA is not a treatment service or counselling, and it's not run by professionals. It is simply ordinary people with a shared problem supporting one another in recovery. Whether it's right for you is, of course, a personal decision. AA isn't the only route to recovery, and there are many different paths that people take. But given AA's influence, its longevity, and its worldwide reach, I feel that it's a really important recovery organisation to understand. And in next week's video, I'll be letting you know what to expect when you go to your very first AA meeting. So if you're nervous about going, or if you just wonder what they're like, hopefully that should answer some of your questions. And if you found this video helpful, please feel free to share it with anyone else you think it might help. And a like and subscribe would really help the channel grow, and I'd really appreciate it. But until next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon.